Hi, I'm Lulu. I'm a compulsive overeater, and we're discussing the fourth step. We have so far on this fourth step tab, we have um, our personal experience, Shalise and I, our personal experiences with the fourth step. We made a video, an audio on making a resentment list. We made an audio on coming up with the causes, the injuries to us, that's the causes. And then we made a recording on the affects my part. And along with a little, we call them cheat sheets, just because it just makes it easier. There's a little cheat sheet on all the different affects my that are of the ways that things affect us. It's all right from the big book. And just kind of a little blurb on how we determine how things affect us. And then you can kind of really feel that. So if we continue on in the book from that example of Mr. Brown, Mrs. Jones, the employer, my wife. So we went back through our lives, nothing counted but thoroughness and honesty. When we were finished, we considered it carefully. The first thing appeared was that to this world and its people, I'm sorry, I'm on page 65, now I'm on 66. And its people were often quite wrong. To conclude that others were wrong was as far as most of us got. The usual outcome was that people continued to wrong us and we stayed sore. Sometimes it was remorse and then we were sore at ourselves. But the more we fought and tried to have our own way, the worse matters got. As in war, the victor only seemed to win. Our moments of triumph were short-lived. So it is, let me just read on. It is plain that a life which includes deep resentment leads only to futility and unhappiness. To the precise extent that we permit these, do we squander the hours that might have been worthwhile. That's that burning up energy foolishly, just wasting time on fighting and feeling guilty and feeling remorseful and feeling out of control and feeling like you're not good enough and feeling like people think certain things or whatever you all kind of wrapped up in, okay, which makes us puts us in a position that we need relief. And then we usually have the food, but now we want to create something else to go to. But with the alcoholic, whose hope is the maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience, this business of resentment is infinitely grave. We found that it is fatal, for when harboring such feelings, we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the spirit. I can't be judgy and connected to God at the same time. I can't sit and loathe myself and be connected to the sunlight of the spirit at the same time. So I need to no longer harbor such feelings, but easier said than done, right? The insanity of alcohol or food returns, we eat again, we drink again. And with us, to drink is to die, to eat is like, you might even think of it as a little extreme to say to eat is to die. But to me, my spirit will die. My really rich emotional and spiritual connection to my higher power will die. My peace and serenity will die. And likely, I'll probably end up physically deformed again, so I don't want to do that. So I'm going to die in all kinds of ways if I eat again, and I just don't want to eat again. So if we were to live, we had to be free from anger. And it was pointed out here, it's also like frustration. It's not like, it's not like everything, it makes you mad. There's just some things that are frustrating. So you don't have to think about even, I think we talked about this, making your resentment list. It's just like things that make you angry, things that frustrate you, things that just, you just want to be different. Like you just don't agree with it. You have a different opinion than either everybody or one person or most people or wherever you're just not on board with other people. It's just something that you're re-feeling. Like we talked about, the word resentment is re-feeling. So the grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. I looked up those words. So the grouch is like, means like festering anger, and the brainstorm is sudden rage. So you can see the difference. One is festering rage, where you just kind of sit and stew in it and you're not doing anything about it. It just festers and festers. And then there's that sudden rage. So all of us are different. Some of us fester, some of us blow our top, some of us do a little bit of each. They may be the dubious luxury of normal men, but for me, these things are poison, okay? So we turn back to the list. Here's the next instruction. We're going to turn back to the list again. For it held the key to the future. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. We began to see that the world and its people really dominated us. In that state, the wrongdoing of others, fancied or real. So now it's either the wrongdoing of others, you have to be open to the idea that it might not even be real. It just might be fancied, which is just a fantasy, or just a feeling that you think that. And it had the power to kill. So how could we escape? We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away more than the food. You're making this list. You've already made this list, and how it affects you, and you're just looking at it. It's just like, how do these just go away? Like, how do they go away? So this was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us, this is the ones that, not the fancy one, but people that, there are people that have been harmed. We realized that people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick, though we did not like their symptoms. The symptoms of their behavior would be the things you put down on your cause list. Those are the symptoms. The things that they did to you are the symptoms of their own life and their own issues. So we did not like their symptoms, and the way these disturbed us. What are the way they disturbed us? That's my affects my list. That's how they affected me. The way that that person is being affected is presented to me by the causes on my list, okay? And then how they disturb me is how it affects me. They, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked God to help show us the same tolerance, pity, patience we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, this is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God save me from being angry. Thy will be done. We avoid retaliation or argument. We wouldn't treat sick people that way. If we do, we destroy our chance of being helpful. We cannot be helpful at all to people. We cannot be helpful to all people, but at least God will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one. So now this next sentence is actually all the rest of the writing. That was just kind of a prelude to it, given like a little background on how we're going to like look at things through a different angle. So this is the next paragraph, is what the turnarounds are. So returning to our list again, putting out of our minds the wrongs others has done, we resolutely looked for our own mistakes. So where had we been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened? Those are the 4 questions that we're going to answer on each of these lists. Though a situation had not been entirely our fault, we tried to disregard the other person involved entirely. Where was I to blame? The inventory was mine, not the other person's. When we saw our faults listed, we listed them, we placed them before us in black and white. We admitted our wrongs honestly and were willing to set these matters straight. So we're not going to read from the big book now for a long time, because we need to go through, this is a lot of stuff. This is the selfish writing, the dishonest writing, the selfish writing, and the fear writing in regards to resentments.